Second Nature for Children in the house. Coach, how you doing?
As always, man, I'm great. How about yourself?
Coach, I'm doing absolutely great, man. I'm ready to get to it too. You was asking me, was I sure that I really wanted to do this? And I'm like, hell yeah, I want to do this right here. And you know what? As the family come in, make sure you like, share, subscribe. And last week when we did the show, I told you there were gonna be some things that were gonna trigger some people. And so when I look out there, I see that somebody had unsubscribed to the channel.
Wow.
Yeah. And and,
Okay.
and I'm not surprised. It really just proved my point even more because I would love for if you unsubscribe, I got no problem with it. But can you share with me why you unsubscribed? And if you don't subscribe, share with me why you wouldn't subscribe when this information that we're putting out can help you, that it can help you. So one thing I found out, and I know this right here, Coach, we are a very emotional people. You understand? And I'm talking about blacks. And once again, like you asked earlier last week, and like someone has put in the comment, why you use the word blacks, of course, that's the identifying group name that we picked up in the 60s, like I said, and that will come from what 66, what it was Stokely Carmichael when they began to start the Black Power movement, talking about that more. And then around 69, it really became as the government began to look at us as identified us as a people and began to use blacks. And like I say now, it can move to African Americans. So that's why I
Let me just say one thing, man.
jump in now.
What is February known as?
Black History Month.
Okay. They say Black People History Month. They say African American Month. They say Black History Month. Come on, man. Let's roll, man.
You see that?
It is what it is. Let's roll, man.
I'm glad you brought that up, and
Yeah,
that's what,
man.
and to try to find something instead of taking the information, doing something with the information. I got to find something that I can gripe about, so I don't take heed to the information. So that's definitely what that's about. So I'm glad you brought that point up, and it's so easy for us to be triggered by words. That's the sad thing. It's so
That's it.
easy. And so
That's
what
it.
happened last week, wherever you said or whatever I said, somebody got triggered. And instead of them leaving a comment, letting me know what triggered them, because that's what they got triggered about something. And I love to just know, I don't care about you unsubscribing, that's on you. But I just love to know because I want the family to see your mindset and what was said that triggered you to unsubscribe to the channel. And so, because what we have to understand is this right here, your perspective, your opinion, what you believe, and how you feel, that's your view of something. I want you to understand that. What's your perspective, your opinion, what you believe, and how you feel, it doesn't make it a fact. It doesn't, when you get your perspective, your opinion, I want you to get that because I've literally had conversation with people and something that they believe in or something that they get a perspective on or their opinion or the way they feel about something, and they try to push it over to you as if it's a fact. And that's what happens a lot of times when I'm giving out information that are facts. And one thing a lot of times that people don't like is when you're competent and you know what you're talking about. And then they say, well, you think you know everything. Now, I just know what I'm talking about. I never told you about fixing a motor or changing plumbing. I don't know that. I don't do that. But I do know what I'm talking about. And I'm the best at what I talk about, especially when I talk about the foundation of living. And it's something that you don't even have to look for the science or the historians to do. You can observe. We don't take care of ourselves physically. You can observe that. There is something wrong with us mentally because of our behavior. You can observe that. We are definitely disconnected spiritually. You can observe that. I don't have to get a science. I don't even have to pull up stats and there. If you are conscious, and that's the problem. A lot of us don't see certain things because we're not conscious enough to, and we're not awake enough to see certain things. So just because You give your view on something, it doesn't make it a fact. And that's what happened to us. When we don't see something the same way, we get offended. We get offended because we try to make our view, like I said, we try to make it a fact. And if someone can prove the way that you see it is wrong by presenting evidence, and you still don't accept the facts, it's considered having a lack of common sense. There go another trigger word. Our behavior, when you use the word a lack of common sense, stupid, fool, silly, when you use these types of words, I know we can took them and they become fighting words, but that's why I always define words to let them know it's not always fighting words, it's our behavior. If I call you stupid, you don't have to be ready to fight with me. I'm just saying what you're doing is not sharp. That's all. That's not sure. That's a bad decision that you made. So when someone is able to prove it with evidence, and you still want to go with your opinion when it goes against what they just showed you, then you were really showing a lack of common sense. And so we may have one or two other that click off, coach, on this one right here, but I don't care as long as I'm telling the truth. So let's look at it. And I want to talk to you tonight, coach, about why Blacks marriages fail. That's what I want to talk about, coach. And I'm gonna let you go in, but I want to talk about why Black marriages fail. So let's look at, I've already did Blacks. So I want to do marriage, a binding, a legal contract. I just want to leave it right there. I want to keep everything real simple and basic. To fail is just to be unsuccessful. Simple as that. Blacks have the highest divorce rate compared to any other ethnicity group in the United States. You could pull that up, divorce.com, and study it yourself. And the most common reason for divorce is that 75% it's a lack of commitment. 75% of divorces come from dealing with a lack of commitment. And the most common reason for marriage at 90% was love. I want you to get them numbers right down. Now, when I say love, now there go the problem. There lies the problem. I want you to understand. I want you to rock with me for a second, because it's going to take more than love for a relationship or a marriage to make it. It's going to take more than love for a relationship or a marriage to work, because the origin of marriage was not based on love.
True.
I'm getting ready to show you right now why Black marriage, and I'm talking about us. I don't care about, I'm talking about us, talking about family. Understand something. A lot of times we don't do our homework, and we got to understand that this word marriage, we have made it something. Just like when I talk about the word parent, you want your parents to love you. But a plant can be a parent, an animal can be a parent. It's just a male and a female that can have an offspring don't mean that the parent's gonna love you. So just because they have taken this word marriage and you put so much into it, it's only a binding, bringing two things together. It's just mixing something together. That's all. Look at it. That's all it is. And then it's a contract. So just because you went and got married, it doesn't mean that your relationship is gonna make it. Because like I said earlier, 90% of us recorded, it's recorded that 90% of us that get married is based on love. Because the origin of marriage, like I said, it was not based on love. And study shows that the first recorded evidence of marriage, of a marriage ceremony, binding a woman and a man together, it dates all the way back to 2350 BC. and Mesopotamia. And it had nothing to do with love. So you never really went back and looked at the origin of something that you think gonna be so great, and you thinking that you love and all of it. No, that ain't what marriage. No, no. Marriage was for rulership, property rights,
Yep, yep,
politics,
yep.
controlling the land,
Mm-hmm.
inheritance, and
Yep.
the protection of a bloodline. So I want the family,
There
as
you go.
I'm naming these things, you should be able to kind of pick up right now why my marriage may not be going well. I just as I just want you to, I want we smart enough to be able to kind of pick up. Damn, okay, so I married based on love, but he's telling me that that's not the origin of marriage.
And love is an emotion.
Strictly.
Here today, might be gone tomorrow, come back the next day. Think about that. Go ahead.
And not only that, coach, when you say that right there, do you really love me? Say if something happened to me, will you still be there for me? See, I want to have a lot of people because I know instances where something have happened to the other party and the person that's well, they
They
jump
gone.
they jump
They
ship.
gone. Yep.
They jump ship. So I just want the family to kind of think about that. Marriage was based on rulership, property rights, politics, controlling the land, inheritance, and protecting the bloodline. That's marriage. It ain't got nothing to do. So I'm gonna bring it up to date to you. You can even see where the Egyptian pharaohs, they would even marry their sisters
Keep that joined together.
to
Yep,
keep,
yep,
if you can
yeah,
study that, to keep
yeah,
everything within their bloodline.
yeah.
That's why you can even study history and still right now today in some countries, see, they go, we can got over here and got so westernized till we don't look outside to it's still where I'm gonna take my son, you take your daughter, we gonna marry them. I'm a king, you a king, or we want to keep something. They've never seen each other, they never met each other or nothing.
True,
But we just gonna
true.
arrange this wedding so that
Mm-hmm.
whatever we're working, whatever control we're working to keep, whatever we're working to do, this how we gonna do it right here. So you bring your son, I'm gonna bring my daughter, and we gonna hook them up, and we don't care. We don't care nothing about. Ain't got nothing to do with love.
Yeah.
I want the family to understand that it was all about power and keeping control. Nothing about love. It was more of a custom, a tradition, how they did things back at that time. And once again, I'm gonna say it again because it gonna answer why our marriages are failing, because we have based our marriage on something that it was not originally deemed for, and that's love. That's why I did a video. Remember, coach, you and I, we did the video on why get married in 2025 if it's
Yeah,
not
I
for
remember.
money? Yeah.
Yeah, yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
So as I think about it, they just kind of pigging back on that right now. And then watch this right here. And then, coach, it was over the next several hundred years, marriage began to evolve into a widespread institution embraced by the ancient Hebrews, the Greeks, and the Romans. You can pull that up in theweek.com and get that information. Now religion is getting ready to play a part.
Mm.
Bringing it, yeah, now let's bringing it up to date. Now we're getting ready to bring it up to where we are. Because now here come religion getting ready to rear its head. And here come another custom. And here come another tradition. And mind you, how do we think that our marriage is going to work when now the way we look at it is more of a religious type of thing, and we don't even do well in religion? So how do you think
Mm.
we're going to do well in a marriage? I want the family to think about that, because what I come to do with you, coach, is there's a lot of problems, and there it's time to start looking at some solutions, and it's time to start seeing, why am I going through this, or why this happened, or why that happened. And so I'm working to solve some of these problems, and answer some of these questions on people asking why. Religion has creeped its head into it, and now you looking at uh, the covenant promise, I would say, in Genesis 2:24. If you look in the Bible, if you take the Bible that most of us, is more Christians recorded than any other religious group. And then is the Protestants have the highest rate of divorce within the Christian group. If you pull that up, you could take a look at that too. And that's a Christian group. And that was started by Martin Luther. And remember, that's what Dr. King
And
father
name
himself,
from.
got that name from, because his father really admired Martin Luther, the theologian back in the day, who started protesting against the Catholic Church. And so that's why right now in 2025, it's just so much information for us to still be so closed-minded into religion, till we don't understand that it's just a custom and tradition, and it doesn't mean that you are spiritually connected to that which you say that you believe in. And even in Genesis 2:24, it consisted of three things: leaving, cleaving, and becoming one flesh. That's what it consists of. Now we trying to bring it into this love thing. Love marriages instead of arranged marriages, because at first they was arranged marriages, was not universal, and really didn't kick off until the late 18th century and early 19th century. That's when the love marriage began to come about, trying to bring a family together, and because of you love someone. And then it got to the point where the arranged marriages, the kids began to really protest against the parents, because they began to say, as time went on, I don't feel nothing for that person. I don't feel nothing for that person. So like you said earlier, now you're dealing with your emotions. And like you say, they could be up today and they could be down tomorrow, or they could be up today and down this evening. You understand? So
Right? Yeah, yeah.
now you got this love marriage thing began to come into play within the 18th century and the early 19th century. You can pull that up at the HuffPost.com and you can get that information. So now lies the second problem: why our marriages fail, because we don't understand love. We don't understand love. A lot of us don't even love ourselves. Just look at our behavior toward ourselves. That's not showing a strong liking. And that's why I try to explain to everyone that the foundation of living is what we're missing. And that's dealing with your mind, your body, your soul, learning how to balance them off. It's one of the most important things, if not the most important thing that you can learn how to ever do in your life. And I'm bringing that. I'm crying that out, that the Bible say in the wilderness, but it's so new to a lot of us. We have heard about the mind, body, and soul, but no one has ever taught us that our foundation of living, that's the most important thing in our lives. I don't have to pull up statistics, and you can, because I always tell you we can go look at them at. But like I said earlier, when you're dealing with the mind, body, and soul, all you got to do is be observant. All you got to do is look around. You can see we're not well physically. You can see it. It's nothing that I got to go pull up numbers and no. All you got to do is look around. Not only look around, for most of us, Just go look in the mirror. And you can see, if you open your eyes and if you be honest with yourself, and especially as you get older, if you go into the doctor, I know he or she telling you that you better get it together. Our mental state, you can't tell me something is not wrong. If you don't see something wrong with our mental state, if you don't see mental disorder, mental issues, mental illness, mental problems in our community, that lets me know you still asleep. You still unconscious. It's on display every day. And we running up into the church house. And that's okay if you got a belief, but you running up out of there and you're not living it. That's a problem. And that's a majority. That's a fact. Most of the folks that's up in the church, when you go in there and look around and just observe the church, here's another fact. And this is something that you can go do if you still go to church, especially the Black Baptist church. That's where I come from. Our people are hurting physically. Look around. You see it. So how are they hurting mentally? They're hurting mentally because when you see someone not taking care of themselves physically, something has happened to them mentally. And in order for them to get it together mentally, they have to mess around and tap into that spirit that they're supposed to be going into that place of worship to connect with, that will help them mentally and physically. There's a disconnect, family. These are facts. So for someone to get upset and get triggered, then that's their problem. Because they can't come tell me nothing that I've said. And I haven't heard Coach say anything that's not true. Bring it.
It's my fault. I take the blame.
Coach,
I'm used to that.
Coach, I'm gonna start right there for me. If you got anything you want to share, I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna let you go.
As I look at the email, man, and the topic, I'm like, wow, okay. I hope we had a couple young ladies on so we can go back and forth, but that
And
could be
by
part
you,
two.
listen, by you saying that, listen, if anybody ever want to join the panel, there's my email address right there. Hit me up. You can come on. If Coach can said anything, if I've said anything, anytime you want to come on, hit me up. Let's put something together. Come on. Go ahead on, Coach.
My thing is this, man. When you're talking about marriage, you're talking about two individuals coming together, right? Okay, fine. We know that. But those two individuals, when it comes to the definition of marriage, do they both agree on the definition of marriage? Because you can have two people whose definition is completely different or off so much so that it could alter the unity. You know what I mean? You have some folks who just care about the wedding. They don't care about the marriage. That's not important. The wedding, the aesthetics. You know what I mean? Where it's gonna be, how many people, who we invite, who's sitting here, catering, how much it can cost, how much the ring cost, all of that stuff. And about where we're gonna live, you know. We already have a home or homes, you know, how are we gonna build? Because you're supposed to be building, not only as kids, you know, building a family, you're supposed to be building wealth because two people come together with income, that's the quickest come up. You know, that's the quickest come up. Unless, like I said, the definition is off, somebody gets sidetracked and what have you. You know, I'm thinking about it, man. As a young man, I really think it should have been instilled in us to get as closer to yourself as possible to find out who you are. Because a young man, you reach a certain age, you running behind them girls. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
That was your most of your attention, and playing sports, what have you, but you're running behind them girls. You're not tapping into who you are, trying to figure out you really are. I really think that plays a part because by the time you hook up with someone, you already got kids. Now you still trying to figure out who you are. And then you realize, this ain't for me. But it's too late. You got to roll with it. You know what I mean? And a lot of people might not admit it, but a lot of people find themselves in that situation. You know? So you fast forward today, I prefer to be by myself. Not 24/7, 365. Yeah, okay, you want company or whatever, but I prefer most of the time to be by myself because it just works for me, you know. So I would say, man, as an advice, especially the young folks, your number one priority is finding who you are, man, who you really are. I mean, being honest, you know, because you don't want to be in a situation you locked in with someone and you discovering, oh man, what did I do? And it's too late. You know what I mean? Some people live all their life like that. That's sad, man. A lot of people live all their life like that. So you want to know where the arguments is coming from? Well, it ain't got nothing to do with you. The other person got something to do, you know, with the person who can't come to grips with who they are and don't even want to share. Look, man, I think I don't want no parts of this no more. You know what I'm saying? So, but that's my little take on that, man.
That's beautiful. And the thing is that's so important. And one of the main things you said is giving yourself time.
Yeah,
And I'm sure some
yeah,
videos that I've done, for of us doing things too fast, too soon. Somebody got to slow us down. And that's one of the biggest problems that we're having in the Black community is that we're moving too fast. And we definitely need to slow down and find out who we are. And then
yeah,
you have to be careful and give yourself time to mature. And that's why it's so important for parents to nurture their children up and don't let society raise them and slow your children down. You understand? So and let them know that okay, that the girls or the boys are things that you as you get to a certain age and your body and your hormones and everything start to going crazy, you really need that nurturing at that point. You understand? As much as possible. And we go through so much trauma. Once again, it's a lot of things going on in the community. But one thing we got to make sure that we tap into in order for us to make it in anything that we're doing is we got to make sure that we tap into that immaterial. I always talk about that which dwells deep down inside of you. And that's where your principles come from. And we're struggling because we are disconnected. We are disconnected from that which dwells deep down inside of us. So what make you think that you're going to be able to stay in a marriage or stay in a relationship when you have no discipline? When you have no self-control, when you have no tenacity, when you have no character, when you have no integrity, I just want you to understand, slow down. It's real simple. The reason it's not working is because we have based it on something that it was not even originated for. You got in other countries right now, you still got men with many wives and concubines right now today in 2025. Just depends on where you are. We have been brought over here and we have been instilled mentally with a Western way of living, a European way of living. And so it was not in us from the start to automatically be with one person. It was not like that. And in order for you to do that, it comes with maturity and it comes with you got to tap into that inner being. Because a lot of us don't have character and integrity. You can get mad all you want to, but a lot of us don't. A lot of us, like I said earlier, we don't even know how to love ourselves. So here it is, you got a male and a female, you got two people that have come together, we're both dealing with so much trauma, both talking about we love each other, but we're not really ready for the commitment of a marriage. And so we have to give ourselves time to mature and grow up to really see, man, this is something serious. You telling me that I'm getting ready to be with somebody, and I'm declaring that this is gonna be the person for the rest of my life. Woo!
Let me just say this too, man.
Says.
On account of what you just said, that's why it's so dangerous to give someone a time frame, because you feel this is the time you should get married. I thought it was a we thing, coming together as one. It's not all about you. So you're trying to force this person's hand to do something you want them to do, you know? And if they don't stand firm and they go with it, it doesn't work. Both of y'all to blame, you know? You for forcing them, and the other person for not standing firm and saying, man, I'm not ready. Let's just chill. Let's see a little longer. You know what I mean?
That right, yeah, that's everything. That's one of the most important things, because a lot of these marriages, especially guys, they are being pressured. You know, and society is pressuring a lot of the women. You know, you ought to be
Oh
married
yeah,
by
oh yeah,
now. Yeah,
yeah,
why
yeah,
you don't
yeah,
have a husband? Why this and why
yeah, yeah,
that?
yeah.
And now here it is, you trying to please other people, you know, your mama, grandmama, auntie, whoever, your cousin, or you see it over here with son so and got married. You don't know what's really going on in their
Going
house.
on. Yeah,
Right. Yeah.
yeah,
You don't, yeah,
yeah,
you don't,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. You really don't know what's going on in their house. But now everybody looking at you like something wrong with you because you haven't got married and you don't even realize, hell, you the one that's good. Something wrong with them. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, you don't even,
You don't pick up some baggage. Hey, hey.
yeah, you don't even realize. And we got to understand that in 2025, that we think that love is enough to make a marriage work. And it's
And
just
then,
not, and it's yeah, and it's just not true, family. So I would definitely have to conclude that the biggest reason that our marriages fail as a people of color is because it's not the origin of marriage. First of all, it's not why people got married from the start, why they started it. And then as time went on and religion jumped into it and it became this love thing later on, family, a lot of us don't even honor the religion that we're in. So what make you think that we're going to be able to honor the marriage that we're in? I just want to put that out there for us to kind of take a look at that and kind of think about that, because I don't know if you ever really thought about that. If you have no discipline in your religion, and most of us are just church goers, we're not living that Bible. So a lot of us just can win and got that piece of paper, but that piece of paper do not bring character, integrity, tenacity. It do not bring that. That's why I was asking in 2025, why go get, you think that piece of paper gonna make him or her change? You fooling yourself.
and then when you throw that financial aspect in there too, it's uh, you know, you picking up someone else's debt if they are not forthright with it. You know what I mean? Let
Absolutely.
you, hey man, I got so much I need to take it. No. You picking up their debt, you know?
And
So
when you speak on the economic part, you got to think about this right here too. It's such a big problem today when you picking up someone else's debt or you mess around and marry someone who's not good with money. You got to understand, yeah, you got to understand the origin of marriage. When it came to economics, they wanted to make sure everybody was good. That's why they put them together.
together, yeah.
That's why
Not to
they,
suffer.
not to
Yeah, not to
suffer.
suffer. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? Yeah.
That's why they put them together. We want to make sure that this money stay in our family. We good and everything outside, we don't care nothing about it. Hell, we mess around and get married today. We just as broke as a joke. And then
And
we go,
that's true.
that's true, and we go spend all
And
this money on a wedding.
I know well, yeah, yeah.
Oh my God. So, Coach, I'm gonna leave it right there. It's about 3 minutes left. I'm gonna let you close out, but I can gave it. And shoot me a comment, family. Let me know what you think about it. And like I always say, talk black to me. I want to hear it. Whether you subscribe or unsubscribe, let me know. What you think?
I'm just say this, man. We just touched on the topic because really it can go so many different ways, so many layers,
Absolutely.
so many levels to it, man.
Absolutely.
You know, just last touching the financial, just mentioning it. You know what I mean? So you got to be honest with yourself first and foremost, man. And we always talk about that, being honest with yourself. You know, be honest with yourself. Tap into you. Don't be afraid to let people know who you truly are. They either accept you or they don't. But you don't want to put together something that you claim is a marriage on false pretense and then hope it's going to work. It's not going to work. Your foundation rocky, man, from Jump Street. So if you're thinking about it, man, play this back, you know, and take off what we talk about. Address it, man. If the person don't want to talk about none of this stuff, then that's not the person, man. I'm just being real. So that's what I got for you, man. Be careful out here, man.
I'm done right there, Coach. I'm done. They can take it or leave it. I'm done. And we'll come back because it's definitely some more things to share, and we'll topic something different, but it's definitely something to share a little bit more about this relationship and this marriage thing and the mindset of it. So we'll come back on a later date and we'll do it. And once again, Coach, I appreciate you so much for your time. And until we come back together, I'll holler.
All right, man. Same here. Take care.
Yes, sir.